Welcome to Life Fit with DVD. Welcome back. Thanks for being here. Today, I wanted to talk about how there is always time to rewrite your story. And this kind of goes back to some of the topics I had talked about last week with, you know, the story that you tell yourself is going to be a very important one. It can empower you or it can destroy you. And that goes into the self talk that you have, the way you treat yourself, but also the way you treat other people as well. And basically, the narrative that is running in your head while you're not paying attention to it, while you're not conscious of it. So, this is an incredibly important thing to be aware of. That I feel like just a lot of people just aren't aware of what is going on in their own heads, the stories that they are telling themselves. And often these stories will come out in the way that they talk to other people, the way they express themselves. And there's almost like a mirroring function of the things that the values, the beliefs that they have will come out in ways expressed to other people, either at them, blaming them, um, you know, but it's oftentimes a mirror reflection of what is going on the inside for the person. So this is important because if you're looking at your life and you're seeing yourself as a victim, as things aren't working out, and you don't know why, you don't know what you need to do or how, where you need to go, you know, and you have all of these things, you have all of these stories that you're telling yourself because they are stories. Now, maybe these things are real for you, they feel real, but they don't have to be, right? If we become aware of what is going on in our mind when we see ourselves, we become aware of ourselves telling these stories to ourselves, like that chatter that just goes on incessantly in the mind sometimes. um, you have to ask yourself, is that really you? Is that really you choosing those beliefs? Have you chose them? Have you even ever thought about them? And this is just a crazy thing to me because so many things that people talk about nowadays, it's like, did you choose that belief or did you hear somebody else say it and you just assumed it's true and you didn't actually think about how it resonates with you if you actually believe it, if it's a principle that you want to have? And because critical thinking and accountability are not promoted in today's society, these things just get dismissed. They just get tossed out, and there's no accountability to your thoughts and your beliefs and what you're saying. And when you're not doing this, you're going to get locked into somebody else's story. And just the fact, and I talk about this all the time, we need a perspective shift. We need different ways that we can look at our life so that we might be able to change our narrative. We might be able to change our story. And if we never do the perspective shift, if we never become aware of how we're talking to ourselves and consciously choosing a new narrative, we're never going to be able to get to where we need to go. So, how can we do this, right? So if you see yourself, you're just going through your daily life and something happens that stresses you out and you get exasperated, you get angry, you get, whatever, take a breath, right? You gotta hijack that process, that automatic process. You gotta take a step back from it, and maybe you need space. Maybe you need to take a walk, take some time, just write in a journal. meditate or whatever, but just get some space from whatever might have triggered you, and then that negative story that you had just had going on in your head, and say, well, what else could be true about this? How would I like to have responded to this situation? Could I have changed anything differently? What did I do good here? Where could I have improved? So that I can make a better choice tomorrow, maybe. And if you ask yourself these questions, a new narrative will begin to be created, and it'll be a better narrative. It's going to be a better narrative because you're asking yourself the questions to grow from the situation that you didn't respond to as well as you might have wanted to internally, right? Now, these can be, ways that you've interacted with people externally, and maybe these aren't things that you really, other people weren't upset by, but you wished that you responded a little bit better, a little bit differently, whatever. And then you start to have that chatter, that guilt. Oh, I wish I did this or wish I did that, right? And all of the what ifs, the coulda, shoulda, woulda sort of thing. It's okay to do these things, but you need to have compassion for yourself in that, hey, sure, I could have responded better, but I'm not going to beat myself up over it. I'm going to be like, it's okay, right? We'll do better next time, right? We'll review it internally, and we'll respond differently. And this is how you grow. This is how you mature and become a better person, have better thought patterns, better habits, better beliefs in the process of getting to where you want to go. And it's crazy to me because as life goes on, some of these narratives that I used to think defined me as a person, that I held on to because they felt true, right? Somebody told me something in an emotional way, and I accepted that feedback. I accepted what they had said to me as being true about me. And typically these are highly emotional events that ultimately, when I look back at them now, I realize that wasn't true at all. That was somebody else's narrative that then I accepted as true, and I've been carrying it around the last several years of my life, or however long. And when you realize that that's just a story, right? All of these things are stories. So many things that happen in our lives, are really just a matter of perspective, just a matter of subjective opinion. And what one person sees one way, another person will experience a completely different way. It's not your responsibility how others perceive you. It's your job to manage your own narrative, your own feelings, and just present your perspective. Present your perspective in a way that is not attacking another person, right? Just present it. Maybe they think you're attacking them, but if you're just trying to state where you're coming from, there's nothing more you can do about that. You can even just say, this is my perspective, right? This is how I see things. You can see things however you want to see them, but you lay them out, you will be able to figure out if you can have some sort of relationship with this other person or this thing or this job or experience, right? If it's something you want to continue or to move away from, if it's something that resonates with you or something you just want to move away from. And when we just get more in touch with how we're thinking and feeling and becoming more aware and shifting our perspectives and looking at that narrative that we're telling ourselves, asking ourselves the question, right? The questions when we do experience that negativity, how can I do better? What could I have done better today in this situation or here? Just try to look at it a little bit differently and treat yourself a little bit more respectfully. Try to treat yourself how you would treat another person. Because oftentimes we treat ourselves way worse, we're way more critical on ourselves internally than we are to other people. So, just in line with, what advice would you give yourself as another person? If you had to give some advice to yourself in your situation, what would it be? I had a video like that last week. I should check it out. But just answer that question for yourself. What advice would you give yourself? And you will know the answers. I believe that you always know the answers inside. The answers come from within, and often it's just the external chatter and everything else that we're bombarded with that we just accept these some things and we get lost in all of it, right? So sometimes the best thing you can do is just absolutely nothing. Slow down, take your time, think about, hey, what might have experienced, what negativity that you experienced, going on in your head, and did it hijack you? What happened there? What do you think happened? And then just try to write a new narrative. Try to experience it differently by asking what else could be true here. And when you just start to ask what else could be true, you'll realize that so many of the things that you think are true for you are just stories. So, anyway, let me know what you think about this, what narratives you might have that you're trying to overcome, and how you're doing it. It'd be really interesting to hear. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed this, and until tomorrow, I'll talk to you next time. See ya.